My former employers lost their client and business because of me. Edit. For clarification purposes, because it seems to confuse some people. It's just one office of less than 300 employees. The name of his position was Regional Supervisor. It was pretty stupid to name him that. But that's what he was called. Even though he worked the only office that existed. I'll assume it was to make the role look more attractive than it actually is. That's a common happenstance. A few years back in 2018 I had decided to switch employers. I worked from home as a chat support specialist and eventually a supervisor for a major tech company. I had decided to switch to a small-time customer support agency that was just starting a new chat team. They had better pay and benefits. Because they only had a small number of employees compared to the former. The description of the position I was to be hired for was another salary-based supervisory role for their brand new chat team for the client. I'd basically be doing the same things as my previous job, but also spearheading this small department, while simultaneously training other coworkers with zero experience in chat support. This was going extremely well and our client was ecstatic at the results of the new chat program. They had personally sent me an email over my progress. The company I left was, and still is, known worldwide to have the friendliest and professional customer support out of any other company. And so it was easy to apply what I learned to this new position. After about 2 months of doing this, the person I directly reported to, the regional supervisor, was retiring. Our new regional came in and was friendly at first, but decided that he didn't want to waste his time on chat, and directed me to phone support, which was not in my job description, nor what I was hired for by any means. He cited that the client was unhappy with the results, which was in stark contrast to what they had told me directly. Even after forwarding him the email, he was still not doing anything about it. So, I complied. It took just 2 days for the client to have reached out to me personally. After explaining to them the situation, they were livid. My new regional had lied to me about his contact with the client, and had essentially ignored our client's attempt to contact him about this issue. I had continued to work in the supervisory role for phones until the first quality review of my employees came up, for team leads and direct call center employees both. This is where I review their interactions and grade them based off their strengths and weaknesses. Our regional wanted me to even include the chat support team, who were neither hired or trained for phones. He refused to give them training on every single employee who was hired for chat support. I had filed all of them as unable to be completed, and in my notations, I included that this is not the position they were hired or trained for, and thus an analysis could not be accurately completed. And I sent this to both the regional manager and our client as well. Since at this point I had a direct contact email, I was responded to the same day by whoever it is within our client who oversees all of outsourcing. The only words I got back were, "We will deal with this." The client held a meeting the following week with my employers. I'm not sure what was said in that meeting, but word got back to everyone that the client had dropped us for breach of contract, because this was a small office and our company's only client for several years. This was bad. After that, me and my team were offered a position with the company directly doing the things we were hired to do, but required us to move about 4 hours north. So unfortunately none of us decided to accept that offer. I collected unemployment until I found a new job. Now the company is out of business and is currently being sued by some other employees for unpaid wages. This new case has been going on since 2019. If it was the company's only client, how was the CEO, owner not directly involved when the client Couldn't get in touch with the new regional head. Seems like an easily salvageable situation. The audacity and level of idiocy some managers display is just mind-boggling. Ah yes. The old, I don't know how to do your job, but I'll tell you how to do it and not listen to anything you say. The new guy was on a major power trip. You did the right thing because there was no way a person like that would take accountability when the client was pissed and complaining. You covered your ass as you always should. It always boggles me how people with no skills or business sense get set into supervisory, managerial roles, and are never held accountable for their performance or impact on the company. I've been in my industry for decades and have had managerial positions. I choose not to stay in manager stuff because frankly I rather like shoveling coal and pulling levers. I had a manager a couple years ago that was obviously inept. Because our company is extremely good to their employees. It almost 2 years for this Nimrod to finally be fired. He tried to have me blamed for a failed project he was managing. So I 100% went around him, talking directly to his boss, and noting that everyone else on my team was pissed off at this guy as well. I ended up leaving the team. Lateral move within the company. But I watched this guy get his ass kicked to the curb over the space of 3 months. It was so satisfying. You could have set up a company and take over the business directly. If a small company has a regional supervisor, it is either way too top-heavy or not a small company. Being on the end of a support chain, I can tell you there are some who can't stand chat-based tech support. I don't mind it as long as the chat is quick and not mired down with a AI bot. The old school phone support people hate it, and that is probably the attitude the manager had. Definitely sounds like there was a lot more shit going on behind the scenes than we get here. Me thinks you should start a customer chat service company and offer your services to that former client. No mouth face fog. This, if anything, is malicious compliance. You tried fixing it, but HR didn't do their job. But also I find it hard you didn't have any kind of contact info for the CEO or someone above the regional manager. In all companies I've been in, I've always had a way of contacting the CEO or someone really high up, or using a whistleblowing function. When I chat with a large company that shares the name of a large jungle, it seems like the associates are probably chatting with at least 3 other people because every response takes forever. Are people who work on chat required to have multiple conversations going at once in most companies? The friendliest and professional customer support, so Nordstrom? I worked for one business that the owner was all about sales. He had an entire company for after-sales services and maintenance contracts but had no knowledge or concern about how that worked, and spent his time creating advertising and hitting the streets to sell more equipment and services. This can work quite well since you're doing what you know and letting the professionals handle the things you don't know, but quickly falls apart if you hire and trust the wrong people. Many managers want to manage what they know. This manager was no different. Seen it too many times. Take something innovative and working and screw it up so it is what you know. Welcome to the corporate world. This is every interaction with every business weenie ever. They can't understand the difference between FOB, feelings, opinions, beliefs, and facts, reality. The number of times I've had a business weenie demand I violate a contract with a customer is so large that I now require them to respond to an email stating the facts. The business person insists I violate the contract. I tell them they're violating the contract. They dismiss me. I perform the action. And then the business weenie blames me for following their demands. There are consequences for your actions. Was this around 2017-2018? Something like this happened during my time in AppleCare. This might not even be malicious compliance, they played themselves. Too bad you couldn't have moved, cuz it sounds like the company is a good one. They would not let you work remote? Good for you, smile.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.